This job, you get some fabulous opportunities, you really do, chums. I was lucky enough to be able to produce a wonderful event for the late President Carter, Jimmy Carter, James Carter, whatever you want to call him. What a man, what a guy, what a sweet man, actually. We got on incredibly well. He was getting on a little bit in years at that particular point, a few years back now, but he was just a gentleman, you know, very, very sweet and nice to deal with. I've also met more current day presidents of the United States, including President Trump, Donald J. Trump. And as I told you before, I met him really before he was the president when I was working for NBC, and he was a big cheese on their American version of The Apprentice. Polite to me, very nice, organised a trip to Trump Tower. All the things you want to do really when you're a tourist in America. You know, you have to say as you find them. A little bit like, of course, Barack Obama. Lucky enough to meet him also. He came to my studio just ahead of him becoming the president for the first time, and he was on something like a TV show Americans on, I think, called Meet the Press, something like that, you know, and they did a very big special from the studios in London. And again, terrific man. We ended up being in the lift together. We just laughed about what he was going to be doing because he was a bit exhausted. He'd been in London, loved London, wanted to do some tourist stuff, but had to do the job, obviously. But now it's interesting, you see, because a couple of years now down the line, the 44th president of the United States is going to be back in London, but under a different guise as ever. Let me explain. Morning, nice to see you, chums. Thank you so much for your time. Are you all right? I'm not so bad, thanks. Yeah. Now, you know, when you say you've met the President of the United States, it is a thrill. I mean, people in power are interesting. I met many great people. Margaret Thatcher, a lovely lady. She came in to record a special as a tribute to a TV reporter who had not exactly given her an easy ride on Sunday morning, Sir David Frost. But, you know, she respected him enough to come and do that, even when she was very ill. And what I often say, whether you're political or not, and, you know, this is not about that, it's about meeting people in history. They go down in history, don't they? You know, they are part of our fabric of that particular time, that moment, you know. I remember as a child meeting Jim Callaghan, quite by fluke, in Blackpool when he was doing the Labour Party conference, and we were in a big show there at the Opera House, and he just came out, and you wouldn't get that now because of the security. We came out one way, he came out of another, and we just, you know, thought, oh right, you know, my dad said that's the Prime Minister, and you'd think, oh wow, that sounds nice. That's the thing, isn't it? You get an opportunity to meet wonderful people. Now this September at the O2 Arena in London, you get a chance to, well, meet from a distance the 44th president of the United States, Barack Obama. Now, I have to say, I feel a bit sorry for Barack Obama. Two things, really. The tickets are a phenomenal cost, just shy of over £400 for a good ticket, right? And you think, well, okay, maybe a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Maybe you're interested in the story. After all, he's got a great story. You wouldn't think so if you listen to his moaning wife, Michelle Obama, who literally runs this poor man down on a regular basis on her podcast. I don't know whether she's jealous of his success, whether she's just, I don't know, unhappy. Maybe it's a midlife crisis. You know, I'm not having a go, but have a listen and look at some of the headlines. She's so derogatory about him. And you think, without him, you wouldn't be sitting doing the podcast. But Barack was always cheerful, upbeat and positive. However, he's hitting something of a backlash because people are saying, £400 to just sit and listen to somebody. Now, the O2 Arena, unless you know this, I think he would have been better off, which was going to be the original venue of the London Palladium. Far more intimate, just over 2,200 seats or something like that. And at least you would have felt part of that process, you know. When you've got a big arena like that, it's like a Madonna concert, big screens everywhere. You don't really feel part of that thing. But the other thing that people don't realise is, oh yes, you can ask a question, but it's all pre-advanced questions that you have to fill a card in, then you might get selected. And when you look at the people who are interviewing him, well, they're never going to challenge him, right? So wouldn't this have been far better, far more fun, and far more spontaneous if he had done the Palladium and perhaps just given a mic to people in the audience and said, what do you think to this? Because that truly is what makes a magical evening at an event like that, an audience with. This controlled, contrived sort of stuff, where you're paying over the odds simply to sit in the same room as them, well, I would say personally, just from my point of view, I would give it a miss. But of course, certain people are dedicated fans, whatever. And it'd be interesting to see if there's a personal message on the screen from his moaning wife, Michelle. Sure you'll agree. Neil Sean, Kensington, London.